Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. In an interview with Vanity Fair, Omid Scobie discussed the relationship between William and Harry. Scobie said, "I think that it has been so interesting to learn more about their journey as siblings. Firstly, the surprise within Spare that the brothers were never as close as we thought for all those years. What a complete shock that was to most people to see that the brothers were never as close as we thought. What surprised me the most was at one point, William was a man that hated the press more than Harry. As Harry said in his book, they were brothers that had this unwritten pact between each other, that they would never get caught up in the games and situations with the press that their parents had, which tore their family apart. Then to fast forward and see that's exactly the thing that hammered wedges in their fractures of their relationship. It's sad and disappointing. So many people around William were responsible for those fractures widening, and some of the toughest things that Harry experienced when it came to press coverage and things being written about his family came from his brother's quarters at Kensington Palace. He then learned that his brother was aware of some of this stuff and didn't do anything to stop it. You can then really understand why they've reached this point. There's no communication between the two. Beyond the release of Spare, which obviously went into so many private details about the relationship between the brothers, we heard from sources around William that he would never forgive his brother for talking about these private things so publicly. But months later, Harry reached out to a mutual friend to see if it was even possible for William to sit down and have a conversation with him. And alas, nothing came of it, so it seems they really are at a point of no return now. In my book, I really wanted to be able to explain this in a little bit more detail, including the actions of the people around them in the institution, to give a better understanding that this is not a family that operates as a group of blood relatives. It's so much more than that. Otherwise, press coverage always seems very black or white, like the brothers just fell out and William is angry that his brother spoke so publicly at the end. But there's obviously so much more than that. It's much more layered, and I think it helps us understand both of them a little better. Omid Scobie's Endgame suggests that Princess Anne and Prince Edward had differing views regarding Harry and Meghan's use of Frogmore Cottage. The book suggests that Princess Anne played a key role in convincing King Charles to stop Harry and Meghan from using Frogmore Cottage as their UK base. This Grade 2 listed mansion on the Windsor estate, which underwent a £2.4 million refurbishment funded by taxpayers, was originally given to the Sussexes when they married. The issue arose following the couple's decision to step back as senior working royals and relocate to North America, yet wanting to retain the cottage for UK visits. However, Prince Edward reportedly had concerns about the potential mental health impacts on Harry and Meghan due to this decision. Endgame attributes Princess Michael of Kent as saying about Meghan, "Well, we could already guess what someone like her would be like. I saw it coming from miles away." According to Scobie, these comments were made during a meeting in March 2021 at her Kensington Palace apartment. The book describes Princess Michael of Kent, the wife of the late Queen's first cousin, Prince Michael of Kent, as having been critical of Meghan. Scobie writes that Princess Michael has never been much of a fan of Prince Harry's wife. The author then quotes her as saying, "Meghan's made it all about race because that's all everyone does these days." Palace Intrigue will be right back. A light anecdote after a few weeks of royal drama. Princess Eugenie's royal wedding occurred just 5 months after Harry and Meghan's, at the same location, St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle. As Eugenie's was Zara Tindall made an observation to Harry about 2 weddings. A lip reader for Mirror Online reported that Zara commented to Harry, "It's very quiet compared to the screaming at your wedding." Harry, surprised, responded, "Mine?" Meghan, who was listening in, wore a navy dress and coat by Givenchy, the same designer she chose for her own wedding gown. In The Guardian, Norman Baker writes under the headline, "I thought I knew royal greed, but King Charles profiting from the assets of the dead is a disgusting new low." Baker writes, "As a royal author, I have come across plentiful examples of royal greed. It is standard practice for the royals to seek to minimize their personal expenditure while maximizing their income from other sources, normally the public purse. But the revelation that King Charles III's personal slush fund, the Duchy of Lancaster, is having its already bulging coffers augmented by the estates of people who die in parts of England with historical links to the royal estate plumbs new depths of disgusting avarice. Under this system, the Duchy of Cornwall, owned by Prince William, can claim the assets of people who die in Cornwall interstate without a will if no relatives can be found. George VI did very well out of the loyal servicemen who died serving their country in the Second World War, who originated from within the confines of the duchy and had no will. For king and country took on a whole new meaning. As disquiet about the practice of bona vacantia grew after the war, the royals announced that monies collected would henceforth be given to charity, after processing costs had been deducted, of course. Yet a Guardian investigation now reveals monies we all thought were going to charity have instead been used to improve properties owned by the duchy, increasing the income stream that flows from them into Charles' pockets. And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, Apple, or your app of choice. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button for us. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue. Good times.